Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm back with another video, and this is going to be part 4 to what if Naruto was an older brother. In the last part we didn't really have a significant ending. It was just like, Naruto and Anko comforting Itachi, who was getting over the loss of his, you know, newborn sister. So yeah, we're taking it from there. So anyways, the next day after that incident, Naruto was determined to spend time with his sister because, um, you know, his interaction with her earlier and, what happened to Itachi's sister reminded him that spending time with his precious people is also important because you never know when, uh, you know, they are either they or you are going to die, which is a pretty bleak thought, but then there's no denying the truth in that. So, anyways, since he knew how to cook, he prepared a picnic for his sister, and this just consisted of like pretty basic foods like ramen and onigiri and stuff like that. And he went and asked his sister whether she wanted to come and go on a picnic with him. To which Natsumi happily agreed, and Naruto picked her up and put her on his shoulders, and he picked up the picnic basket, and they went off to the park. So, anyways, on the way, Naruto met Anko, who was just returning from the dango shop, and Anko just smirked at seeing Naruto with Natsumi on his shoulders and the picnic basket, and she was like, "Aw, who knew you had a caring side, Naruto?" And Naruto rolled his eyes and he was like, "Did I really seem that cold before?" And Anko was like, "It's not like that, but I would never expect this from you." And she gestured to Naruto, doing what he was doing, and Naruto was like, yeah, I guess I could say so as well. And Anko was like, "Mind if I join you guys? I brought some dango with me." And Naruto patted Natsumi, who's on his shoulders, and he was like, "What do you say, Natsumi? Would you like Big Sis Anko to join us?" And Natsumi was delighted that she could meet one of her big brother's teammates, and she enthusiastically said yes. And Anko chuckled at this, and Naruto was like, "Well, Anko, I guess you could come with us." So they spent the rest of the afternoon and evening interacting with each other and just bonding, and this caused Naruto and Anko to also become a lot closer. And I suppose you guys have guessed the ship by now. It's Naruto X Anko. So yeah, and while all this was happening, Itachi was also spending time with Sasuke because the loss of his sister reminded him of the same thing that it reminded Naruto, and it actually hit him a lot harder because, of course, she was related to him, and while he was walking to the bridge to show Sasuke his fireball jutsu, he saw Izumi sitting at the bridge, and he became even more excited because he knew Izumi since his academy days, and he even had a crush on her. So Izumi was, holding a box of Pocky in her hands, and she called him over, and Itachi happily went along, and yeah, so Izumi, Sasuke, and Itachi, spend the day bonding as well. So, Izumi just told Itachi that you know, she promised that she would make it, she would graduate the next year, and Itachi encouraged her and all that stuff. So, I know you guys may not really care about this part, but then, yeah, it has to happen because, like, Naruto is not a machine. So, anyways, I just made this part as short as possible. So now let's just get to the ninja stuff. So Orochimaru called Team 1 to report at the Hokage's office for a mission, And when they went in the office, Minato was like, Team 1, time for your first mission. It seems like the feudal lord's wife's cat has run away again, and I'll be giving you the mission of finding it and retrieving it for her. And Orochimaru went up to Minato and was like, Lord Hokage, I won't have my team wasting their time on pathetic excuses of missions like this. They are already well above the ability of even Chunin. They need at least a C rank mission. And Minato was like, But Orochimaru, the rules. And then Orochimaru interrupted him right there and was like, To hell with the rules, Hokage. Whatever you say they can learn from D rank missions have already been learned by them. So don't give me any crap about them having to learn teamwork or patience or any bullshit like that. And Minato was like, Alright then, how about a compromise? I will pick any low Jonin from my roster, and if your team can work together to beat him or her, then I'll allow you all on a C rank. And Orochimaru was like, That's a deal, Minato. And Minato gave him a stare, and Orochimaru like, sorry, Lord Hokage. And then Minato turned to his Anbu and was like, Anbu, bring me Asuma Sarutobi. And guys, this is 10 years before we see, like, this is the Asuma who's 10 years younger to the one in part 1 of Naruto. So, of course, he's going to be low level at this time. So yeah, please don't flame me in the comments saying that Asuma is pretty strong or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just clarifying that detail for you. So Asuma and Team One met on the training field and when the Hokage started the match, Team One all charged towards Asuma. And Naruto pulled out a bone from his shoulder and he was like, Dance of the Camellia. And Asuma smirked and he ran wind chakra through his knuckle blades and sliced straight through the bone. And Naruto was really surprised seeing someone cut through his bones, and he was like, he must have been using elemental manipulation through the blades. So this bloodline is out then. And he was broken out of his thoughts by Asuma taking a swipe at him. And Naruto ducked, and he was like, let's see if my chakra chains work. And while Naruto's like when Naruto was about to manifest his chakra chains, Itachi and Anko charged as well. And now Itachi only needed 4 hand signs to do the fireball jutsu, so he did those hand signs, and he made a pretty large fireball. And Asuma was like, substitution, and then he substituted out of the way. And he looked around to not see Anko anywhere, and suddenly the ground beneath him broke, and he had to substitute out of the way again to avoid Anko, pulling him under the ground. And Anko was like, "Damn it, he escaped." And by now Naruto was finished manifesting his chakra chains, and he used them to attack Asuma. And Asuma tried to cut them with his knuckle blade again, but then it didn't work. And he was like, "What is this, Naruto?" And Naruto was like, "Only another chakra chain can cut through a chakra chain." And all of his 5 chakra chains were attacking Asuma, who was having a bit of a hard time. So he made his distance, and he saw that all the 3 Genin were in one spot. So he made a few hand signs, and he was like, "Fire style, burning ash." And all 3 of the Genin substituted out of the way, and they were unaffected by the attack. And Asuma was confused as to where the Genin went, and suddenly a hand appeared next to him, and this was Naruto's hand, and Naruto thought, water style, water prison jutsu. And a water prison manifested around Asuma, and Asuma was like, shit, I should have kept my guard up. And Naruto was like, looks like you lose, Asuma-san. And Asuma was like, Don't count me out yet. And he manifested his wind chakra through his knuckle blades again, and he was able to move them through the water. And he was about to attack Naruto's hand when Naruto was like, looks like the water prison doesn't work on him, and he jumped away, like, undoing the water prison. And Asuma was satisfied, but then suddenly from underneath him two hands burst and pulled him down into the ground, courtesy of Anko. And Asuma was about to break out, but then suddenly a kunai appeared next to his neck, which was Itachi's. And Itachi was like, yield. And Asuma was like, all right, I yield. You Genin are actually pretty good. Now let me break out from here. And Team 1 nodded and let Asuma out. So Minato nodded after that, and he was like, "All right then. I guess I could say your team is ready for C rank." And the reason why I was so reluctant was because the only C rank that we have right now is a mission to the Sand Village, retrieve a scroll from the Kazekage that has to do with our alliance. So it's extremely important. Bordering on a on a B rank mission. Anyways, here's the scroll containing the rest of the details on this mission. Leave tomorrow by sunrise. And Team 1 and Orochimaru nodded as Orochimaru took the scroll, and they all body flickered away from the office to prepare for the mission. And while they were preparing, Naruto was thinking, I should learn how to do that technique using element manipulation in my bone attacks. This might help me counter people who can do that through their weapons. As of now, people who can use elemental manipulation in their weapons make my bones useless. And he kept that thought aside for after he comes back from the mission, and he focused on like packing the necessary items for the mission. uh, so anyways, as they went on the mission, it was pretty you know it didn't really have any major events until they crossed the border, from the forest into the desert, which represented, the border between the wind country and the fire country. So as they made their way, two missing men, showed up, and this one of them was from the sand, and one was from iron country. He was a missing samurai. And the missing nin from the sand was like, what are Genin from the Leaf Village doing in the Wind Country? Perhaps on a mission requested by the Sand Village. If I deal with these kids, then it might strain the relations between the leaf and the sand. Especially since one of them is a son of the Hokage and the other is the son of the head of the Uchiha clan. Not to mention, I can take care of Orochimaru. And Orochimaru was like, well, look at who decides to underestimate me. There's a reason that I was named the Asanin, you know. And the samurai who was next to the missing nin from the sand village was like, be quiet. It'll be fun to collect all your bounties. I'll just take Orochimaru to the rain village, and the Hokage's brat to the stone village, and the Uchiha brat to the cloud village. Yes, I'll become rich today. And anyways, the three genin were on high alert, and Naruto whispered to Itachi, "Hey Itachi, I can sense one of my bloodlines in that missing nin from the sand village. The Scorch release. Would you mind analyzing his techniques with your Sharingan? I'll owe you one." And Itachi was like, "Sure, Naruto, just let me copy one of your wind jutsus later." And Naruto was like, "Deal." And anyways, the missing nin from the sand was like, "What are you two whispering about?" And Orochimaru was like, I'm slightly miffed at you for underestimating a Sanin, so I'll just embarrass you by letting my Genin team defeat you." And The sand ninja was like, a Genin team. Have you seen my name in the bingo books? I'm a B rank missing nin from the sand. And Orochimaru was like, only a B rank. Maybe that's why I didn't notice you. And the samurai was like, it doesn't matter. We'll take care of the brats and then we'll take on Orochimaru. And missing nin just nodded. And Naruto was like, I'll take the samurai, you guys take the sand ninja. And Itachi and Anko nodded as Itachi activated his two Tomoe Sharingan. So now the first battle we'll talk about is Naruto versus the samurai. So Naruto's like, so samurais are known for the kenjutsu, which probably means that he can use elemental manipulation through his sword. Using my Shikotsumyaku would be unwise here. And the samurai charged up his sword with lightning, and Naruto was like, a lightning affinity. I guess I'll have to use wind then. And Naruto made a single snake hand seal and was like, wind style, vacuum sphere. And he shot out multiple wind projectiles at the, you know, samurai. And the samurai was like, a wind user, huh? It'll be a bit difficult, but I'll easily take you down. After all, you're just a kid. And he uses lightning sword to slice through one of the projectiles, which wasn't a very smart idea, as it suddenly exploded and destroyed his sword, and also injured his arm. And he was like, crap, what is that jutsu? Luckily, I'm ambidextrous and I have another sword. And he drew his sword with his other hand. And Naruto was like, so he can wield his sword with both his hands. Interesting. I can't use my more destructive jutsu because my two teammates are there, but I can use the one that Kakashi-san taught me. And without hand seals, he made a shadow clone and substituted himself with it. And he used the puff of smoke created when he made a shadow clone as a smoke screen to do the substitution. And he prepared his Chidori, and then the shadow clone ran towards the missing nin, the samurai, and the samurai was like, "So, brat, you want to engage me in close quarter combat, huh? Not a very good move." And he heard a voice behind him, and he was like, "It wouldn't matter because you're already dead." And suddenly he looked down to see a lightning encased fist going clean through his chest as he, you know, threw up a bunch of blood from his mouth, and he was like, "The copy ninja's technique." But when? And he saw the Naruto in front of him, who was, about to engage him in taijutsu, go up in smoke, and he was like, "A shadow clone? How can this kid use a shadow clone?" As he felt his life slipping away, and he saw Naruto pull his hand out of his chest as the samurai fell to the floor. To the ground, and he sputtered the words, "Brat, I'm surprised that you managed to defeat me, but I enjoyed my last fight. Please take my sword as the spoils of your victory. It is made of the finest metal from Iron Country, and it's extremely chakra conductive as well. I hope you use it well." And he finally died, and Naruto picked up his sword, and he was like, this isn't of much use to me since I have my Bone Cake Genkai, but I think one of my teammates might find a use for it. And he took out a sealing scroll and he sealed it inside. And in the meantime, there was Itachi and Anko. So now we move on to their fight with the Scorch Release guy. And Anko immediately went underground using the Earth style hiding like a mole jutsu. And the missing one was like, "You two aren't even worthy of me to use my Kekkei Genkai. So I'll just use regular ninjutsu. Fire style, fireball jutsu." And Itachi did the same, and the missing nin's fireball was overpowered because Itachi learned elemental manipulation. And the sand ninja substituted out of the way, and he was like, "How can a brat like you have such a powerful fireball?" And Itachi was like, "Because you're pathetic." And while the man was grumbling in anger, Anko quickly went underneath him and was like, "Earth style, double suicide decapitation." And she was about to pull him underneath, and but the man substituted out of the way, and she was like, "Damn, Itachi, do you want to do that combination that me and Naruto developed?" And Itachi was like, "What is it?" And Anko was like, "Make a fireball, I'll show you." And Itachi did that, and the missing nin was like the same jutsu again, and thinking that Itachi wasted his chakra, he was about to make another fireball, and but then suddenly Anko made a few hand seals and was like, "Earth style, Earth dragon bullets," and an earth dragon came and started shooting earth bullets through the fireball, and the earth bullets were ignited, and the man was finding it troublesome to dodge them, and he was like, "Crap, how are they only genin? They should at least be chunin by now." And he tried to engage them in taijutsu, and but Anko's taijutsu that she was learning from Orochimaru came in very handy, as she used all sorts of bendy movements to get out of the way. And Itachi's interceptor fist, his mastery over the interceptor fist taijutsu style from the Uchiha clan, was really helping him here. And the man jumped back, and he was like, seems I have to use my bloodline after all." And Itachi looked at him carefully with a Sharingan, and the man did a few hand signs, and he was like, "Scorched release, extremely steaming murder." And three balls of scorched release came beside him, like they looked like suns that are orbiting him, and they had a reddish hue on the outside, and they're glowing white near the center. And as the man controlled them, Itachi and Anko felt extremely dehydrated as they went near them. And Itachi was like, "Anko, we have to take care of those." And Anko was like, "Right." So Itachi made a few hand signs and was like, "I just learned this jutsu, but I guess I'll have to use it. Water style, water shockwave." And he brought out a huge amount of water that he generated purely from his chakra, causing him to get pretty drained. And he turned to Anko and he was like, "Crap, Anko, I'm out of chakra. The rest of this fight is up to you." And Anko nodded and she was like, "Right." But she was amazed to see that before the three orbs were extinguished, uh, half of the entire amount of water that Itachi created evaporated. And the missing nin was like, "Crap, I'm almost out of chakra. I can't use my bloodline anymore." And Anko was like, "I guess this is going to take away most of my chakra reserves now." As she made a few hand signs, and she was like, "Fire style, dragon flame bomb." And the missing nin was making a fireball jutsu, and he was like, "Wait, what? She can do dragon flame bomb? But that's the third Hokage's jutsu." And but before he had the opportunity to think on it anymore, a massive amount of fire that was so hot that it was white quickly approached him, and he quickly finished his fireball and tried to counter it, but it approached too fast, and he tried to make a substitution, but then he was way too slow, and he didn't manage to get out of there without his entire side being burned. And he was like, "Crap, those kids really did a number on me." And as he tried to stand up, he quickly noticed movement beside him, as Itachi stabbed his kunai straight into him as he collapsed. I mean, they both collapsed, like Itachi from the amount of effort he put, and the man because he died. And Anko turned to see that Naruto had just finished his fight as well, before she collapsed as well. And Naruto turned to Orochimaru, who was just standing there, and he was like, "Sensei, they collapsed. Why didn't you help?" And Orochimaru was like, "Please, you didn't need any help, Naruto, and neither did they. I already knew you were strong enough, and I knew you had to get some experience on the battlefield." And Naruto just nodded, and he was like, "Sensei, we have to rest for now. They both have collapsed." And Orochimaru was like, Well, I suppose so. That battle did seem quite taxing for a genin, after all. And Naruto nodded, and he was like, I'll carry them." And Orochimaru was like, "Alright then, find me after you're done." And he just walked away, and Naruto made two shadow clones, and the shadow clones carried Anko and Itachi, and he prepared his you know his tent and other sleeping bags and all that stuff. And he used Orochimaru's chakra to track him once he was done. And he found Orochimaru sitting next to a lake. And Naruto looked, and he was like, "Is that an oasis?" And Orochimaru was like, "That's quite correct, Naruto-kun. I happened to chance upon this place when Tsunade Jiraiya and I were trying to escape from the rain village after the war ended." And Naruto was like, "I presume that since you're talking about the rain village, you're referring to the second great ninja war." And Orochimaru was like, "Ah, yes, that's the one. It was quite a nostalgic battle between us Sannin and Hanzo of the Salamander. I believe that that man was the world's strongest shinobi at that time. But now, I suppose he's past his prime." And Naruto was like, "I see. Would you mind telling me more about him? This Hanzo seems pretty interesting if he managed to take all three of you and win." And Orochimaru nodded, and he started explaining about who Hanzo was, and his battle against the Sannin's battle against Hanzo, until Itachi and Anko woke up. And Naruto walked up to both of them and tossed them both bottles full of water, and he was like, "Drink up. You were really dehydrated after your battle with that missing nin from the sand." And they both nodded, and they drank water, and once they were refreshed, they continued with the mission. And Anko looked at Itachi and Naruto, and she was like, "So about those two guys we fought over there, did you two kill them?" And Naruto and Itachi nodded, and Anko was like, but how could you do that? You killed them." And Naruto was like, "In the world us shinobi live in, Anko, it's either kill or be killed. I found this out when Lord Third took me to the battlefield of the Third Great Ninja War. I tried to help a rock ninja who seemed to be dying of dehydration by offering him some water, but then seeing my appearance and seeing that it was similar to the Hokage, he tried to kill me, but not before I stabbed him with one of my bones." And Anko was extremely shocked with this, and Itachi looked at Naruto, and he was like, "Wait, you too? My father did the same thing for me, and this exact same thing happened when I was on the battlefield, except I stabbed him with a kunai instead of a bone." And Naruto was like, "It's a small world," and Itachi couldn't help but agree. And Anko was like, but still, how could you both still be so calm after killing someone?" And Itachi was like, "You'll understand once you get to kill someone, Anko." And Anko gulped but nodded. And after a few hours of walking, suddenly some bandits showed up, and there were like 20 bandits, and the leader had a knife, and he was like, "All of you, give us all your money or else." And he let the thread hang there as he picked his nails with the knife. And Naruto was like, "Looks like you'll get your first kill further earlier than we thought, Anko." And Anko was like, "You want me to kill them?" And one of the other more lecherous bandits was like, "Boo-hoo, little girl. Too afraid to kill us, huh? Maybe you should come with us and we'll have some fun." And Naruto was absolutely disgusted by his behavior, and he was like, I know that every kunoichi experiences something like this, but what kind of sick person lusts after a 7-year-old?" And he turned to Anko, who had a determined expression on her face, and she was like, "Never mind, I'll kill them." And Orochimaru turned to Naruto, and he was like, "Naruto-kun, why don't you allow Anko-chan to take care of all these bandits? And Naruto was like, you sure, sensei? And Orochimaru was like, absolutely. Let's show them the difference between a civilian and a ninja. And Naruto nodded, and he was like, well, you heard him, Anko. And Anko nodded as she quickly sent chakra through her feet to burst towards the nearest bandit, and she used a kunai to slice straight through his neck. And as the other bandits tried to attack her, she kept dodging and parrying, and slicing a few of their throats in between, until she saw all of the bandits assemble against her. And she made a few hand signs, and she was like, Earth style, mobile core. And the bandits sunk underneath the ground, or like the platform on which they were standing sunk underneath the ground, and all of them were trapped in that, in the jutsu. And Anko was like, now's the end for all of you. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. And she jumped up and shot a massive fireball into the, uh, you know, the compartment created in the earth, causing all the bandits to be roasted alive. And once she finished and she saw the carnage around her, she puked, and she was like, I killed them. I really killed them." And Naruto put his arm around her, and he was like, "It's all right, Anko. You remember what they were saying about you before, right?" And Anko just gulped and nodded as Naruto offered her a water bottle. And he was like, "Go, clean yourself up. We'll finish this mission. And remember, if you ever feel sad about killing those bandits, just remember that they deserved it. And also remember that you can always talk to me, or Itachi." And Anko just gave a soft smile and nodded. And the rest of the mission was without much, events. Like, was pretty uneventful. And they retrieved the scroll without any problem, and they went back to the Hokage and reported the mission complete. So after that, we have a 1 year time skip, and this is the training of Team One. And over this time, they do a few like many C ranks and a few B ranks. And now let's go to each of their trainings. So first, let's see Naruto's, because obviously he's the main character. So Naruto, he learned five more jutsus in each element, and by learning, like, it means him using the jutsu with as few hand signs as possible, possibly one or none. So Naruto also developed his bloodlines, his elemental bloodlines, by learning one ninjutsu in each bloodline. And for Scorch release, he learned extremely steaming murder, and for Boil release, he learned unrivaled strength. And in Ice release, he learned 1000 flying water needles. In Swift release, he learned unrivaled speed. In Plasma release, he learned melting raindrops. And in Storm release, he learned laser circus. And obviously, he also learned elemental manipulation in the first four elements to the point where he can manifest them without using hand signs. And in Earth release, he's close to finishing the second, elemental manipulation exercise, which is creating a fault in the ground using Earth chakra. And in his Shikotsumyaku, he completed all the first five dances. The dances that we see Kimimaru use in the fight against Naruto and Lee and Gaara. Meaning he completed the dance of the seedling fern, and he also completed one of his own creations called Dance of the Birch, where he uses his femur bone, like his thigh bone, and he uses his chakra to lengthen it until it's about his height, and he uses it as a bow staff. Like Hiruzen uses Enma, um, just a staff, to fight. And He also learned how to channel elements through his bones, which would become very useful since his bone bloodline is weak to, you know, elemental manipulation, like, swords, like sharp weapons which have elemental manipulation, like a lightning sword or a wind sword. So, by using elemental manipulation through his bones, he is able to counteract that. And he also learned to use the only bone in his body that wasn't used in any dance, which was his skull. So basically, he in the dance of the clematis vine, instead of only pulling out his spine, he pulled from the top of the skull, and he basically got a skull whip. And for his chakra chains, he is now able to manifest six chakra chains, and he can make them each travel to a maximum of 50 feet away from him. So, anyways, he also developed much more control over his chains, and he could use them and direct them much faster than he could before. And for taijutsu, he is on the verge of mastering the swift fist taijutsu style of his dad, and the gentle fist of the Hyuga clan. Obviously, not for the chakra points, like for the organs, for the specific targeting and all that stuff. And he also became very proficient with strong fist because he was already naturally very strong, and also the training under Guy helped him become even stronger. And he liked to use his taijutsu in conjunction with swift release and boil release, which would make him faster and stronger, which is why he used the jutsu's unrivaled strength and unrivaled speed. So, yeah. And in Fuin Jutsu, he learned the first four levels of Fuin Jutsu, and he still had four more left. And in Genjutsu training, Kurenai started teaching him yin chakra manipulation, where the goal of the exercise was to, replicate objects using yin chakra. But obviously, he wouldn't be able to touch those objects as they only have form but no substance. So they're basically just images, at least until he finds a way to add yang release to them. And this aspect of yin release kind of confused Naruto because he knew that yin release was used to create genjutsu, but when the opponent is trapped in a genjutsu, the world seems real and he's able to touch the elements in the world. And Kurenai had to remind him that genjutsu also disrupts the sensory and chakra network of the individual that it's cast upon, meaning that even if something isn't there, their senses will register it. So, of course, Naruto, understood this after that, and he finished his yin manipulation, and he could like at his level he could create small objects like the size of a kunai or less using purely yin chakra, like yin manipulation. So yeah, and he was learning this so that he could learn to use genjutsu with less hand signs, and he could learn to use more subtle genjutsu. So yeah, and he also convinced Kurenai to start training in some ninjutsu and taijutsu so that she can become a proper jonin, and she'd be qualified to take a team under her so that she can teach them genjutsu. So now we go with Itachi's training, and since Itachi unlocked the Sharingan, his parents started teaching him the techniques related to the Sharingan, like Genjutsu, and he started mastering his Sharingan. And with Naruto's help, he also learned water and fire manipulation, and he finished the third step for each one, and he was being hailed as a genius in his clan because he was able to do the fireball jutsu without hand signs. But of course, he gave the credit to Naruto, and due to Naruto letting him copy wind jutsu during the the mission in the sand village, Itachi also grew a third elemental affinity, which was wind release, and he finished the first stage of wind manipulation, and he was working on the second stage. And yeah, that's how it was for ninjutsu. And of course, in each you know element, Itachi now had 10 ninjutsus, and um, he was on the verge of mastering the interceptor fist taijutsu style of the Uchiha clan, and he was working on adding more offensive elements to it, because it was a very reactive fighting style and it wasn't very proactive, which was how a fighting style should be. And he also started learning swordsmanship because Naruto gave him the sword that he took from the missing samurai from the Iron Country. So Itachi started using a shortened katana to learn the arts of the sword, so that by the time like when he's tall enough, he could use the katana, the sword of that the missing samurai. So yeah, and Itachi also came across the crow summoning contract, which he signed, and that's Itachi's training. So now we move to Anko's training, and Anko finishes the first two stages of fire and earth manipulation, and she learns eight ninjutsus in each element, and she also dabbles in some genjutsu with Naruto and Kurenai, and she learns taijutsu from Orochimaru. And since she learns a snake fist taijutsu style from Orochimaru, and Orochimaru also sees her, sees that she's kind of similar in personality to him, he decides to give her the snake summoning contract. And also, since Naruto knew medical ninjutsu, Anko wanted him to teach her the basics, which he did. So that's their progress over the year, and it was after that Minato called Team 1 and Team 2 to the Hokage office, and on their way there, they came across Izumi's team, which was comprised of Izumi Uchiha, Hana and Uzuka, and a civilian-born ninja known as Raido, who would later become the Hokage's assistant. And Itachi smiled at Izumi, who mouthed at him, "I told you we'd do it." And Itachi just nodded and gave her a thumbs up. And Naruto raised an eyebrow at this interaction, and he was like, "Something you want to share with us, Itachi?" And Itachi was like, "Never mind, let's go." And Anko saw the blush on his face, and she blurted out, "Oh, I know, Itachi's in." And then, before she could say anything more, Itachi clamped his hand around her mouth, clamped his hand on her mouth, preventing her from saying anything else. And Anko's muffled words made no sense, and Itachi was like, "Anko, no need to have that discussion right now." And Anko was like, fine. And anyways, they all made it to the Hokage's office to see Team 2 waiting there for them. And Minato looked at them and he was like, "Alright, all of you, you are extremely talented for a bunch of genin, and I have no doubt that can make chunin. That's why for the upcoming chunin exams in the Mist Village, both your Jonin senseis have recommended you for participating." And Naruto narrowed his eyes and he was like, "Isn't there supposed to be a war over there?" And Minato nodded and he was like, "Yes, tensions have been arising between those who possess bloodlines and those who do not. I suppose this Chunin exams is just being held as a show of strength by the Mizukage to let the other villages know that nothing is wrong. And all of you, because of the tensions in the village right now, I want you to make Chunin without using your bloodlines. Is that possible? And all of them nodded, or at least Shisui, Kimimaro, Naruto, and Itachi did, because Yakumo and Anko don't possess bloodlines. So Minato nodded, and by the way, guys, throughout this month, Naruto approached his parents several times to, ask for help in Fuinjutsu, but then they always blew him away because, they were busy doing their own thing. By which I mean, like, Minato was busy with paperwork and Hokage duties and all that stuff. Especially due to the fact that his daughter was a Jinchuriki, and Kushina was Kushina had her hands full with Natsumi, and Jiraiya was still outside the village, and Tsunade was still in the hospital. So yeah, Naruto was pretty left out. And anyways, as Naruto was leaving the Hokage's office, and by the way, this is back in the present. Minato called Naruto, and Naruto turned around in the hope that he'd get to spend some time with his father. And Minato was like, "Be careful, Naruto, and good luck." And Naruto just nodded as he left with a sad smile, as he had been hoping for, uh, you know, a longer interaction than that with his dad. And yeah, so they all were able to make it to the Mist Village without much trouble. And by the way, by now Naruto had the same amount of chakra as the Four Tails. Wait, sorry, not the Four Tails, the Three Tails, like the full amount. So, yeah, he was an absolute beast in terms of amount of chakra. So, anyways, after they made it to the Mist Village, they were all, like, accommodated in the rooms and stuff. And the proctor, who was Fuguki Suikazan, the owner of Samehada before Kesame, um, he was like, all of you are expected to go to the examination room at 4 a.m. So you brats better get some sleep. And Naruto just mentally snorted at this because by now he had been using shadow clones to sleep for him for ages. So, anyways, they all slept and they got ready for the first stage of the tuning exams. So, anyways, on the day of the first round of the tuning exams, everyone assembled in the allocated room by 4 a.m. and Fuguki was there waiting for them, and he was like, "So you little brats made it, huh?" Everyone just like stared at Fuguki, waiting for further instructions, and Fuguki was like, "Well then, brats, for the first test, you all got to draw lots from this box. Yeah, each team has to send one representative to do so. You will get the letter, either letter A or D, followed by a number. The teams that get the same number have to pair up, and the one who gets the letter A is the attacking team, and the one who gets the letter D is the defending team. The defenders will have their own territory. They must prevent the attacking team from getting a scroll from them. We will be providing the scrolls. Any questions?" And seeing as a few of them raised their hands, Fuguki was like, "You all, along with your teams, out. I couldn't have been more clear with my instructions. If you need instructions to be repeated to you, you're not ready to be Chunin." And the grumbling teams made their way out just because a single member of theirs raised their hand for a question. And Fuguki was like, "Alright then, brats, come and get your lots." And Anko was like, "Who do you think should go and get the lots?" And Naruto was like, "It doesn't matter who goes and gets it. I'll just go and get it." And Itachi and Anko nodded, and he picked one of the lots, and he opened the little paper to see that it said D5. And the assistant Chunin, who was helping Fuguki out in the exam room, snorted and was like, "Defender, huh? Good luck."
as he handed him a scroll, and Naruto just nodded, not really feeling the need to waste his time arguing with the disrespectful Chunin. So he went back to his team, and he was like, "Hey, you two, we are the defenders." And Itachi was like, "Well, that makes our job more difficult. We have more at stake. The attacking team only has to protect themselves during our battles, but then we have to protect both ourselves and the scroll." And anyways, Anko spoke up, and she was like, "Naruto, you know sealing jutsu, right? Why don't you just seal it in your arm or something? Or perhaps a sealing scroll?" And Naruto pointed to a board in the front of the room which said, "No sealing techniques are allowed for the duration of the first round of the Chunin exams. Any Fuinjutsu used will lead to the disqualification of the guilty team." And this caused Anko to look a bit sheepish. And Naruto was like, "Don't fret, I have an idea though." And Anko was like, "Are you sure?" And Naruto just nodded as they walked up to the team, which was the attacking team 5. And they saw that it was a team of Cloud Shinobi. And they're like, "You little brats think you can take on the Chunin exams, huh? Remember, in this exam, killing is allowed. Daddy's not here to protect you guys." All three of them just ignored him, although Anko looked a little bit unnerved, but feeling Orochimaru's killing intent before, it kind of made any killing intent she experienced kind of tame. So, anyways, the Cloud Shinobi continued, and he was like, "The brats think that they can ignore us. Well, we'll show them who's boss during the exam." And Naruto, who had begun to get a little irritated, was like, "You should keep your mouth shut. Lets you save a little face when you lose." And this caused the Cloud Shinobi to seethe in fury, and then the guy was like, "Why you? I'm going to show you your place right now, you brat." And Fuguki was like, "No fighting here. You have time to do that once you take the first exam. Now that all of you are paired up with your opposing teams, these tune-in here will take you to your respective territories. Each team has 10 minutes to prepare and until the exam starts." So, anyways, during the preparation time, the team from the Cloud Village um, were in a discussion with each other. So, the girl in the Cloud Village team was like, "Maybe we should at least form a plan to take them on. Out of all the villages, the Hidden Leaf has the highest standards for a genin promoting to a chunin. And they won the last ninja war as well. I think even if we feel that we're going to win against them, we should at least have a plan." And the arrogant guy from the team was like, "Pah, shut up, little girl. We can humiliate them. We'll crush them without even forming a plan. Those kids are what, 8? We'll show the Hidden Leaf that they shouldn't send incompetent little kids to the tuning exams again." And the girl just rubbed her head in exasperation, while the other guy was just stoically staring forward. And meanwhile, Team 1 was also forming their own plan, and Naruto, Itachi, and Anko were discussing together. So Anko was like, "Alright, Naruto, so what plan do you have to hide the scroll from them?" And Naruto took off his shirt, causing Anko to blush and Itachi to look at him like he was crazy. And Anko was like, "Idiot, what are you doing?" And Naruto was like, "Hiding the scroll." And Anko was like, "Why are you removing your shirt for that?" And Naruto just rolled his eyes and was like, "Calm down, Anko." And he just muttered, "Dance of the Larch," focusing his chakra straight on his sternum, and tiny ribs started to grow out and encase the scroll. And Itachi nodded and was like, "That's a good idea, Naruto." And Anko was like, Whatever. Anyways, what's next?" And Naruto was like, I suppose we should place some traps." And Itachi was like, "I'll handle the traps." And Naruto just nodded and he was like, "And since I can spam shadow clones, I can summon a bunch of shadow clones and have them transform into a bunch of twigs and rocks around the boundary. And Anko was like, Naruto, not to say that that isn't a great plan, but you're kind of Jonin level right now. If you try that, we possibly may not get to fight. And Naruto was like, I suppose you're right. Fine, we'll stick to Itachi's straps then. And Anko was like, wait, really? I thought you were going to disagree because of the safety of your plan. And Naruto was like, I thought of that, but after all, we came to the Chunin exams to prove ourselves to be capable Chunin. If only I do the work, you two won't get promotions. And Anko was like, I guess that's sound logic then. And Naruto just nodded. And Anko was like, how do we position ourselves for defense? And Naruto was like, no need for any defense positions. I'm a skilled sensor. And I can't really be fooled by Genjutsu at this point. Unless it's S ranked, which I doubt they'll have. You two just have to stay by my side. And I will alert you of any danger if it comes within 100 meters of us. But still, you two keep your eyes peeled in case there are any traps or any surprise attacks by the enemy. And Itachi and Anko just nodded, and Naruto prepared his, senses pretty much, and he expanded them so that they reached the entire island that they were on. And Fuguki, who was silently observing them plan, was like, not bad, Hidden Leaf. These three are pretty good. And anyways, after a few more minutes of them discussing, Fuguki, uh, basically told them that the time was up and that the first exam was starting. So, anyways, the Cloud Shinobi were like, those little brats must prepare to get their asses kicked. Maybe we should cut them up and send them to Konoha in a box to warn them not to to warn them not to send brats fresh out of the academy. And anyways, they all pretty much blindly charged into the defense territory. And Fuguki looked at them and he was like, "These must be the most incompetent genin I've ever seen." And Naruto basically got the attention of Itachi and Anko, and he was like, "I sense them approaching. Strange, they have come out as a group and they have no attack prepared, since I don't sense any buildup of chakra among them. And I also know that I'm not under any genjutsu." And Anko was like, "It seems they have underestimated us. We should use that to our advantage." And Naruto and Itachi just nodded. But one thing that the Cloud Shinobi didn't do was fall for any of the traps that Itachi placed. And Itachi was like, seems like they can navigate among my traps, but their arrogance just got the better of them." And Naruto and Anko nodded, and they saw the team approaching. And the big genin in the middle cracked his knuckles and was like, "If you three little brats want to quit this exam now, I will be merciful. But if you stay and continue to fight, remember, I'm not averse to killing children." And he began leaking out a pathetic killing intent that was nowhere close to their sensei Orochimaru. And the big genin was like, so it seems you have some talent. You have no fear in face of a killer intent. I do commend you for that, but that's as far as you'll get." And he did some hand signs, and he was like, "Lightning style, forked lightning." And lightning came from between his palms, aimed at the three of them. But Anko just slammed her hand down, and an earth wall came to take the attack. And the three of them substituted out of the way, just in case the bolt was strong enough to break it. But the lightning bolt hardly cracked the earth wall. So, anyways, Itachi activated his Sharingan and he started fighting them. And he looked at all three of them in the eyes. And as the fight continued, Team 1 was slowly beaten by the other team, until Naruto, Itachi, and Anko were all laying on their backs in front of the Cloud team. And Naruto was like, "Please don't kill us." and the leader of the team was like, I already told you you had a chance to back out at the chance, didn't I? And he stabbed all three of them. But suddenly the world around him shattered, revealing it to be a genjutsu. And he suddenly looked around to see the dead bodies of both of his teammates, which had been stabbed by his own kunai. And he was like, "No, you bastards! How could you do that?" And Naruto was like, "Well, it was you who did that. Don't put the blame on us." And the guy charged at Naruto, and he drew out his sword to attack. But in a second, Naruto was in front of him with the bone protruding from his hand and piercing straight through his heart. And Naruto just at that moment he thought Dance of the Willow, and yeah, that's basically how he just like got the uh, bone out. So basically, he was able to successfully defend his territory, or should I say, Team One was able to successfully defend their territory. And Naruto retracted his bones, and he took the scroll out, and he was like, Proctor, I believe we won the first round. And Fuguki was like, Fuguki basically like popped out of nowhere pretty much, and he was like, it seems you have, and you have ended it brutally, just the way I like it. Konoha seems to have some promising shinobi. And Naruto, Itachi, and Anko just gave an accepting nod as Fuguki was like, well, now you guys can run along back to your hotel before you prepare for round two of the Chunin exams.
So, anyways, guys, that's it for today, and this part is finally complete. I am so sorry for taking so long to upload this. It's been like what, 2 months? Yeah, something along those lines. So, the thing was with school and stuff, and I don't really like to give excuses, but then I had like these assignments to complete for school and all that crap, and a bunch of shit to do for my predicted grades too. So, yeah, and I do aim to get into a good college, of course. So, I kind of have to take this shit seriously. So, like I don't really have any kind of like compensation like how I normally do for not uploading in so long, but I'll try to make it up to you like in the future, like in the near future. So anyways, with that said, I'll be ending this part. So if you enjoyed this part, please give a like, share this channel, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down your thoughts about this video and my series, and comment down any ideas you'd like me to implement, and any ideas you have for my future what ifs as well. And thanks for watching, guys.